In a recent video, I shared with you guys my high impact, low effort makeup kit. We built it all together and I talked through all of the products that I was including in it. And today we're gonna take this makeup kit that we put together and do one of my go-to looks on my low energy days. I have a number of low energy days in any given week, and when I'm not testing new makeup or trying to figure out how I feel about new makeup but still want to wear a face of makeup, I'll do some version of this same makeup routine on those days. I feel like this covers all the bases for me when it comes to feeling put together, and honestly, these steps I really enjoy doing when it comes to makeup, and I find them sort of therapeutic. However, if you do find that any of these steps are redundant, or you just honestly do not like doing these things on your low energy days, definitely customize it to however it feels most comfortable for you. Personally, my main goal when doing these quick low energy looks is always going to be to look more awake. If I look more awake, I feel more awake. I don't know the science behind that, and it won't necessarily give me energy, but it'll just make me feel better. There's something about putting a face of makeup on that makes me feel really good. Just to let you guys know, I just used my Lumify eye drops. I feel like that is an essential when it comes to days that I have very low energy, especially because my eyes just aren't naturally super white, so I find that those eye drops really help. But anyways, we're starting off with the brows today. I always start off with the brows because I feel like they help to frame the entire face, and for some reason it feels like whenever I do my brows, my entire face kind of lifts up. I like to do more of a feathery brow because I have a lot of brow hairs. It is quite thick, but I do have a good amount of sparse areas in my brows. So this kind of just helps me shape it, helps me see what the face is looking like, and I go from there. By the way, everything I'm using today, like I said, we did put in this makeup kit, so I will link that video down below, but I will also be linking the specific products down below for you guys, as well as in the YouTube shopping tab. It is a low energy day for me today, but I definitely wanted to film this real time so you guys could kind of vibe with me here. So I always use a brow gel no matter what. That's what I consider doing my brows on a low energy day. Every so often I will also use something to fill my brows, not necessarily to fill them in, but to help shape them further. Today I'm going to be using my Kosas brow pencil. Sometimes I'll use a pen just to, you know, draw in some faux hairs. So what I'm going to do here is mainly focus on shaping the front half of my brows because I feel like those parts are quite skinny compared to this thicker part of my brow. And then I'm also going to kind of round out the arch of my brow and brush all of that in. Again, since we are going more light makeup, I'm going to try to be a little mindful and go lighter on my brows. And I find it really helpful to look at a mirror in my hands, but also a mirror a little farther so I can see what is happening with the brows, because sometimes when you're looking at a mirror right up close and you take it away, your makeup looks completely different. And I find typically it looks more harsh than what you think it looks like. And I personally don't like how pointy my arches are on my face, so that is why I find rounding them out a little bit just suits me better. Okay, brows are done. I kind of cleaned up around them to make sure that I don't have any product around it. So now we're gonna move on to complexion. So for complexion on my super low energy days, I won't even bother with a primer, and typically I won't even really bother with a foundation. If anything, I'm using a tinted moisturizer or sunscreen or just concealer on the face. Today, we are going to be going in with the Tower 28 Swipe Concealer. I have this one in the shade NoHo, and this is going to be our overall complexion product. It just is a matter of finding the perfect concealer for your skin type, your skin tone, and something that's going to last throughout the day for you. So for me on low energy days, I will use a really good concealer all over the face and call it for complexion. That is all I want to do. That is all I have the energy for. Like I mentioned, I do like using a tinted sunscreen. We do have one within this makeup kit, and on some days I will just use that, maybe a little concealer under the eyes, if that, but usually on my low energy days it's like one complexion product, that's it. Personally, I really love concealer because it is so multitasking. It can cover under eye circles, it can cover any blemishes or hyperpigmentation on the skin. It's It's super multitasking and it's so easy to just like reach for if you're trying to be quick or if you just don't want to do the most. When picking a concealer to use as your complexion product, I find that for me, as someone that has a lighter face than my neck and my body, as you can see, my arms are much more tan than my neck or my face. I like to pick something a little bit deeper than my face so it sort of bridges the gap with my face and my neck and then with the rest of my body. We do have multiple colors all over our face at any given time. Like my forehead is a lot darker than the center of my face, and then the outsides are a little bit more pale in some areas. You know, it's totally normal to have that. So finding something that will even it out and make it look a little bit more natural makes the most sense for me. And I'm putting this all over the face, you guys. Maybe not the forehead though. Typically I can kind of leave my forehead alone or just use whatever excess I have. For my brush, we're going to be using some BK Beauty brushes. This is the HG 101. Love this brush to blend out any concealers or really any complexion product. I'll link the brushes down below as well for you guys. They always have sales, so I highly recommend that you pick them up when they're on sale. Another thing about picking a concealer to use all over your complexion, personally for me, even though I am oily, I like to pick a more hydrating concealer, but also something that once it blends out, it does set down a little bit. It doesn't stay super hydrated. It doesn't have tons of oil content in it, because I find that it'll set a lot better with powder later, because I require powder whenever I do my makeup. But the reason I start off with a more hydrating concealer is because it allows you, as you can see, to blend your concealer really, really easily, and it moves that pigment around with the hydration, versus if you were to pick more of a matte concealer, it would kind of dry down as you're blending it, and the pigment would have like a pretty harsh line wherever you're blending it away into. So I find a hydrating one is just so much easier for this step if you're going to use it all over your face, because you are covering a larger area. And I'm going to take it a little bit down my neck too, just to make sure that everything blends pretty seamlessly. It's looking pretty good already, but just to be sure, because you never know. Okay, so it's all blended out, and sometimes maybe I'll go in with a little bit more wherever I want more coverage. And just to show you guys, I feel like this is pretty good already, but just to add like a little bit more coverage under the eyes, I'll just go in with the same concealer, and going in with a second layer and letting it build on top of itself, it does help a lot. Another reason why you should find a really nice concealer for this step. And for this one, I'm going to be going in with one of my favorites, the A506, except it has this like super nice mahogany packaging. This BK Beauty set is just so beautiful. These are all of my favorite brushes from BK Beauty. They're all like those paw brushes, but all different sizes. So good. Just gonna blend that. And sometimes if I want to shorten the amount of time that I'm sitting here doing my makeup, I will go in with a damp sponge and blend everything out instead of using a brush. But I do find that brushes do give me a little bit more precision, and it also stretches the coverage of a lot of my products more than a sponge does. But if you want something that just meshes into your skin, makes it look super, super natural, then I would say a brush is definitely the way to go. There you go. That is with another layer of the same concealer. I think it does make a really big difference, and I'm just going to use this to tap any excess out. And then that is complexion done. Next, we're going to go into blush and bronzer. This will always make me feel more awake and a little bit more alive. So first we're going to go in with the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzing Serum. This is the one in the shade medium. As you can see, I really love this product. It's so good. At first I thought, maybe this doesn't really do much, but I realized that it's supposed to be a very natural, thin serum veil of bronzer on the skin, which is perfect when it comes to my more natural everyday makeup looks. This one is really great for layering, but it also looks beautiful alone. It does have a doe foot and it has a pump. I personally prefer to use the pump because I feel like I can get enough product on my actual face and blend it out. So I'm going to be taking this 109 brush again from BK Beauty and tuck my hair behind my ears. I'm just going to build this up on my brush, just priming my brush with a ton of this. You can't really go overboard with this, so don't be scared. And I'm going to start on my forehead, and you can see it's very very subtle, super light, but as you build it, it really does make a difference. And I find that because this is more serum-like and hydrating, I don't like to stamp around in the same spot for too long. I kind of brush it across my face, move that pigment around, and then I will layer on top of it. Because if you're stamping and stamping the same serum-y like product, then it can kind of move around what's going on underneath the product. So I find that the best way for me to use this is to really move it around and build it. So you can see I have this little bronzer headband going on. I've heard feedback of people saying like, you have too much bronzer, your face looks orange. I like bronzer. I don't know what to say. I like to take it pretty high up on my cheek because we're warming up the face. And I'm not doing any eyeshadow today. Sometimes I will do one of my one and done eyeshadows if I'm feeling up for it, but this is a pretty stripped down routine here for you guys. So what I like to do on these days, if I'm putting bronzer on like this, I'll just go like this too. So it kind of brings warmth to the eyelid, but that's it. And for my face, to kind of bring a little bit of structure versus contouring, I just bring it down closer to my ear to slim out the outsides of my face. So I just use that full pump on this side of my face and my forehead. So I'm going to go in with a little bit more, and I am bringing this down the neck, by the way, just again to make sure everything blends in together well. I'm going to take maybe like half a pump here, again priming that brush. And then bringing it across the cheek and eyelid as well. These steps will definitely kind of like mess with your brows too, so I will go in and fix that later if I need to. All right, and there you go. We have a pretty bronzed up face here, but it still looks quite natural if you ask me. If we compare what the face looked like before the bronzer, nice and natural bronze here. Definitely depends on, I would say, the formula that you use as well as definitely the color that you use. Make sure that you use something that makes sense for your complexion and your skin tone. I find that this one is warm, but it's not too warm. It's a little bit neutral, so it works for me personally, and I find that it looks good at any given moment. So now I'm going to take that same brush and I'm just going to wipe it here on a paper towel, and then we're going to use the same one to go in with our blush because I don't feel like using a ton of brushes, honestly. Today we're going to be using the Say Do blush in the shade Lady. I love these cream blushes. They are more of a gel cream texture. I find that they are super blendable, really hydrating, but they're very pigmented as well. Because it's more of a gel-like cream, it really pushes the boundaries of that pigmentation, but it never looks harsh and it doesn't dry down too quickly, never gets patchy. It truly is a no-fail type of blush. The only thing is that half of the blushes that I have from Say, the stoppers are crazy. Like this one is a little bit more messy than other ones that I own. It's not the most reliable stopper, but it's still a great product. It still works really well. So half the time I will put this on the back of my hand, half the time I will put it straight on the face. It really does not matter with this formula. I find that it works either way for me. So I'm just going to use 2 dots. That was more like 4. And then I'm just going to blend it out. All right, that looks really nice, very, very fresh. I love a little bit of a lighter pinky mauve tone on the skin because for me, I feel like it brightens up my complexion without it looking too stark or too like pastel on me. And I like that this one bridges more pink mauve than like mauve purple, because sometimes those tones on me will come off looking a little too cool, and in turn it makes it look like my face is a little bruised. I think that this shade is actually really perfect for brightening the face, but also making it look a little bit more natural than, you know, a bright pink blush. And you can go pretty crazy with this. You can pretty much do however much blush you want. It really just depends how I'm feeling that day on how much blush I want to wear. Sometimes I will go crazy on the blush. Sometimes I will just do like 2 dots and call it a day. You do whatever your heart desires. But I do want to note that I am going to be powdering my face, so I tend to go a little bit heavy-handed on the blush so that you can still see it once I powder. Another reason why I go for creams and liquid blushes and bronzers on low energy days is personally, I feel like for me, they're a lot easier to blend. They just mesh better on the skin. And even if I go in with powder later on, it just looks super natural. And they also wear even better as the day progresses while my oils come through. That doesn't go with every single liquid and cream product. Like not all of them are going to stay put, but for the majority of the time, I do feel like liquids and creams, once I do my whole face and I set them down, as my oils do come through, it kind of like melts in a way and meshes into the skin in a way that it looks like a glow from within type of thing, even more so than some regular powder blushes and bronzers. So that's a little thing to note there. So I'm just taking my Surratt eyelash curler. This is my favorite one, especially if you have like very subtly curved eyelashes or like eyes, you know. I have more of a flat profile, so I find that an eyelash curler with a really subtle curve fits my eyes a lot better. But I like to do my mascara in 2 steps because I do layer my mascaras, at least right now I am. So I'll go in with my first mascara, which I have determined is more of like my primer mascara, and then I give that time to dry, and at the end I will do my second coat of mascara. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to do the first priming coat and then let that dry as we do the rest of our face. Okay, I'm taking my Hair and Make Long and Curl Advanced Film Mascara. This is one of my absolute favorites. Actually, it is my favorite mascara because it holds the curl. It's nice and dark. It gives me a little bit of volume, a lot of length. And like I said, this does act as my primer mascara. So it layers well with practically every mascara, and it helps every single one to hold my curl at least. Some do better than others. Typically, I will still use a waterproof mascara on top of this one. That's how I get the best results. Even regular waterproof mascaras, they will fall, my lashes will droop, but this one will ensure that they stay up. So I'm going to do a pretty hefty, generous coat here on my lashes before we move on to the next step. All right, next we're going to powder the face. So powder for me is categorized under a necessity. I wouldn't do it if I didn't have to, but unfortunately I do have to if I want to make sure that my makeup lasts at least a couple of hours through the day. But I will say the amount of powder that I use definitely varies based on my energy levels. Sometimes I'll bake, but for the most part, I'm over here just kind of dusting powder on the face and calling it a day. I have, however, been testing out using like a baked finishing powder like the Kosas one and tapping that in with a sponge before going in with my loose powder just to see if I'm liking the way that's looking. And so far I really am enjoying the way that looks. So I'm going to be doing that today, just a really light bake, because I am going to be going out and about today. So I kind of want to make sure that some of my makeup stays put. So I'm just going to take this puff, swirl it into my powder, and then we're going to tap it in to make sure it's really in there. And then I'm just going to take this under the eyes and very gently tap it in. And you can probably already see it's pretty mattified. It looks pretty good, very airbrushed here. I'm just really liking this method. So I'm doing a really light tapping motion just to get the rest of the powder on the face so I can use it, you know? And same thing on the other eye. Sometimes you do have to be careful with colored powders because they can kind of alter how your blushes and maybe your bronzers look. So just make sure that they mesh well together. Just taking the excess all over the face, like I said. And then to top that off, I'm going to be using my Huda Beauty Easy Bake. This is the banana bread shade. I'm going to take some in my cap and using my BK N17 brush here. There's 2 sides. We're going to be using the black side here. Tap my brush in, and then I'm just going to dust this all over the face. And we're going to start off more matte than what I normally like because, like I said, my oils do come through throughout the day, and especially if I'm not priming and I'm not using like a foundation that's going to help control oils or anything like that. And since we went in with more of a hydrating concealer, I want to make sure that I powder enough to where in an hour or 2 my oils will come through and then my makeup will be sitting the way I want it to throughout the day. I kind of have to over powder in order to make sure that my makeup makes it to where I want it to be for the rest of the day. I hope that makes sense. To my oily friends, you probably know what I'm talking about. But again, if this doesn't work for you, if you are maybe normal, combo, dry, do whatever feels the most natural for you, whatever you feel the most comfortable doing for your skin. Because we took that cream bronzer on the eyelids, I'm just gonna dust a little here too. This I will do once in a while. I won't do it every time, but I feel like I want a little bit more bronze, so I'm just using a touch of powder bronzer here to bring back where we already put that serum bronzer. And if you wanted to, you guys, you can take your blush that you used earlier and put it on top of powders. Typically with a cream or liquid blush, I can do this if the formula allows it. So you need something that's not going to cling to the powder, something that's just gonna glide right on top. I do find that the Say ones do that for me, but you kind of just have to test it out and, you know, see how they all react with each other, the products. But I'm just doing this so you guys can see what it looks like once we put a little bit more. Like I said, most of the time I won't do this. I'll just put a lot of blush on to begin with and then leave it alone. Okay, at this point my mascara is dried down, so we're gonna go in with our second layer and we're gonna be using the Kulfi Buddy mascara. This has been such a good mascara recently. When it comes to my second layer of mascara, I do make sure that I use a waterproof or even this one, which is a tubing mascara, because I do find that if I don't like heavily bake under my eyes, and sometimes if I just do a super light dusting under my eyes, whatever mascara I'm wearing may smudge a little bit more on the lower lash line versus if I didn't. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's not as set down. I mean, I feel like it can cling more to a more hydrated area versus something that is powdered down. So in saying all of that, this has been such a godsend for me. I will use this when I'm filming, my everyday makeup routines, my lazy days, low energy days, literally anytime I'm wearing mascara these days. Ever since I got this one, I've been wearing this. It's incredible. It gives me so much length, a lot of volume, and it builds and builds, and my lashes just look so long. But like I said, if I'm wearing mascara, it's going to be a waterproof one or once in a while a tubing one. I cannot wear regular mascaras really ever. I mean, there's some exceptions. Like there's a couple that I've tried in the past that actually do really well, like the YSL Lash Clash, the Merit mascara. Those are pretty good, but I still, for no fuss and reliable mascara, this has been my go-to routine. It's just so good. I mean, look at that. So good. And you guys have also asked about my lashes a lot recently, so this is all I've been doing. I mean, look at this side compared to this side. It's so good. And then I'll just do a really light coat on the bottom lashes, mainly because I get powder and stuff on my bottom lashes, so to make them dark again. Okay. Those are the eyes done. Also, why I feel like it's more important for me to wear these long wear waterproof mascaras on low energy days, there's a high possibility that I'm laying around or even possibly taking a nap, which I don't typically do. But whenever I'm feeling like pretty calm, low energy, I will be laying around a lot, so I need something that is not gonna smudge. Okay, so now lastly we have lip products. I am constantly switching up. I'm always trying new lip products or new lip combos, so really this is a wild card. This is always a toss-up any given day, like I said, but I try to pick something that makes the most sense and the one that I'm always leaning towards, and I have a pattern to lean towards, which is going to be more of a tinted balm. I love a tinted balm on lazy days. I think that they work so well because one, they give you hydration, two, they give you pigment. What more can a girl ask for? I pulled a couple for you guys that I have been really enjoying lately. So this one from Ultraviolet, the Sheen Screen SPF 50. Love this one for whenever I'm out and about, I'm running errands, I just need to throw something on, but it has that extra layer of SPF 50, and the best thing about this one is it does not taste bad. That is the biggest thing I find with SPF lip products. They taste horrible. This one does not. It's incredible. This is in the shade Dusk. I think they have this one and then a more shimmery one. They just have two currently, but yeah, it just gives a really nice wash of color. This has been my go-to, like I said. It's been in my bag ever since I got it. Another one that I really enjoy is this one for Tower 28. It's Red Bean Mochi. It's their lip softies, and I actually like this when I want a little bit more color, but still want some hydration. And these are nice on the go too, because they're super easy to just apply on the lips. You can see kind of deepens my lip, but it still looks very nice and natural. Kind of gives me more of a put together look. Really like that one. It's not going to be the most hydrating one out of the bunch though, but it is still a really nice slippery lip balm if that's what you like. I have been testing out the new Milk Makeup Balmades. They sent me a PR package with all of the new shades. This one is in the shade Pump, of course. It's like the more beigey shade. These are nice. They're very slippery, but as you can see, very glossy and like glass-like. Look at that shine. They have a ton of colors. I will be swatching those soon. It's going to be more runny than the Tower 28 one. A little less color. I would say the color is closer to the ultraviolet one. So far, I'm really liking these if I'm just looking for something that's non-sticky but still feels very hydrating, kind of like a lip oil. The Too Faced Pillow Balms, I love these so much. I kind of went crazy when I started. I bought one and then I was like, oh, I love this so much. And then I bought a ton of them. These though, I find that I like wearing them with lip liners because these shades, either it's too pink or a little too brown. So for me, I think it works the best with a lip liner. I'll show you. This one is Hot Cocoa Kiss. I know some people would love just this brown alone, but for me, it kind of washes me out by itself, so I like to pair it with something that's a little bit more of a beigey pink lip liner. But the formulas are incredible. They're kind of like a melted down lip balm. And the Too Faced Pillow Balms are what I use every single night before bed. I just use the clear original one. This one is, I think, pineapple. Yeah, pink pineapple. So a bit pink, like I said. Another option that I've been really liking, Vila FR. I have this in the shade Aisa. It's a bit more of like a berry, but this one's nice because, again, it gives you hydration. So of course, you guys can tell I love hydration, but it also kind of fades where it stains the lips a little bit. So this is quite long wearing. It's not going to be shiny like the other options, but it still feels hydrating on the lips. So this is really pretty if I'm kind of wanting a berry moment. And I like wearing this one alone because it gives a little bit more of kind of like a diffused look to it. So I really like that one. The Fui Jelly Pots, these are absolutely incredible. I think that these are so nice. This one in Couverture has been my go-to. Also the shade Rosy Mauve. This looks really intimidating here in the pot, but let me show you. They're juicy, they're glassy, they're comfy, they smell like sour candy, and they're incredible. They're just so good. This one's not the most convenient because it does come in a pot, so you do have to stick your finger in there unless you have an applicator, which they do sell, but for the most part, I don't use it. Look at it. It's so pretty. It feels very hydrating. This one feels like a lip oil lip balm to me versus just being, I don't know, like a lip gloss, you know? It's so good. So easy to use. I think I'll just stop there. All right, that is the full face. And sometimes, you guys, I'll opt for a setting spray, sometimes I won't. It just really depends on how long I feel like I'm gonna be wearing the face of makeup that day. This is my high impact, low energy makeup look. Let me take these clips out for you guys. This is all that I do. Maybe all is a little bit controversial because I know there's a lot of steps, but when thinking of my entire makeup routine as someone that like wears makeup for a living, this is pretty watered down. This is pretty everyday for me. And if I wasn't filming, this would take me like 10 minutes to do. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know, what are some steps that you like to do whenever you have low energy, but you still want to wear a little bit of makeup? I know some people will just pop on some mascara, maybe some brow gel. Some people will just throw on a blush. I think there's also a trend where people are just wearing red lipstick and it makes your whole face look put together, which is so interesting because the color theory behind that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you enjoyed this type of video. I just wanted to do something a little bit different where we could hang out. There's no like this is new, this is new, this is new. I wanted to show you guys what I typically do on an everyday basis. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please make sure to subscribe, because I know a lot of you guys here are actually not subscribed but watching the videos, which I so appreciate. But if you like this video and others, I would really, really appreciate if you did subscribe. I will be leaving a video right here for you in case you want to hang out a little bit longer and you are interested in seeing some more of my content. But until the next time, you guys, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.